Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we've got Chris on code. What's up, Chris?
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Eco, thank you for queuing up those boops. I appreciate it. So today is going to be a really fun show. Chris, I've been following your work forever. I've watched you on Scotch.io. You were one of the streamers that I watched early when I was kind of trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. So it's a real pleasure to have you on the show. It kind of feels like you see somebody forever, and we've interacted a bit, but like this is our first time really doing something together. I'm pretty excited about that. Um,
Yeah, me too. I feel the same exact way, following you through Gatsby and over to Netlify now, and love how the stream has grown. Like the production value, just like watching it is one thing, and then being on it is a whole nother thing. Seeing the behind the scenes, and yeah, it's fun.
yeah. The behind the scenes stuff is fun. I'm in talks right now with Joel Hooks and his team at Egghead to do a like how to live stream course, which I'm pretty excited about. So stay tuned on that. You get on the newsletter if you want notifications that way. At what is it? HTTP here. Learnwithjason.dev/newsletter. Yeah, so if you want to get in there, you can always check that out. But hey, Nikki, you noticed the whiteboard. I'm trying to create a set. I feel like I was sick of looking like I was sitting in a felt sound booth. So I'm trying to make my office not look like a barren wasteland. Um, so Chris, for those of us who aren't familiar with your work, do you want to give a little bit of a background, kind of what you're doing now, how you got there, all that good stuff?
Sure. So right now I am the web community manager over at DigitalOcean, and I got there kind of through, I guess, a different path than most hires. I created a website called Scotch.io. We do web development tutorials. We've been doing it since 2013, so I can't math, but 7 years, I guess. And so yeah, we got acquired by DigitalOcean back in November of last year. So it's been a fun ride building a blog, starting as a side project and kind of seeing where a growth trajectory for a blog looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now I'm at DigitalOcean and still running Scotch, still doing this code thing.
Yeah, no kidding. And so at DigitalOcean, you're doing your official title, I believe, is Web Community Manager. And so, what does that look like on a day to day? Like, how are you? I guess, like, yeah, like, what would you
Sure.
say it is you do here?
I am essential staff. Thank you. Um, there's that Conan skit where he was like walking around and asking his staff if they were essential or not.
Oh,
It's pretty
jeez.
good. Um, yeah. So what I do is web community manager. It's been interesting. It's like carving, I guess, a niche in like where I sit in the organization,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'd like to think of myself as in between like DevRel, in between content, editorial, because we do a lot of work with our guest authors still,
Right.
and yeah, I don't know, just kind of at uh, marketing as well, because I have a background in there from like learning how to market Scotch.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like it depends on the day, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. Like that was when I was at Gatsby, I felt very much like that was sort of my role, was kind of like, hey, I'm filling whatever gap needs to be filled, whether it's helping out on marketing or like jumping in on a community discussion or trying to figure out how to empower the community to build more stuff, and all sorts of interesting things where it felt like a new challenge every day. So it sounds like a pretty exciting job.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the solopreneur, the person
Yeah.
to figure out every part of an organization. Um, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of work, but I think it's satisfying to figure out all the departments.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a question from the chat. What are you drinking?
So I usually go straight black coffee from Dutch Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Nice,
ran out of
nice,
coffee beans, so I have to drive out now.
nice. I am drinking Kova coffee that I brewed myself laboriously in a Chemex. So it's But then I put it in this giant mug that keeps it warm forever, and that helps because otherwise I used to only drink cold coffee when I put it in an actual coffee mug, and now that I have a mug that is insulated, I'm able to enjoy my coffee at slightly better than warm, like room temperature.
It's one of those small upgrades that you didn't know you like needed.
Yeah, exactly. Life hacks, right? Left and right. Okay, so we should probably talk about code a little bit. And so the reason that we're talking today is like it might be kind of odd to somebody who's been following one or both of us that we're on a stream together, because if you take it at surface value, it might seem like we're kind of diametrically opposed, because I do a lot of stuff on the Jamstack, right? And then you're at DigitalOcean, which is a like kind of a server company. You sell containers and databases and things like that. Things that traditionally, if you think about the Jamstack, you might assume have nothing to do with it. So what I have lots of opinions on this, but you know, why is that not true? Like, why is it really smart that we are talking right now?
Yeah. So this is kind of a fun thing. Like, I had the same question when I was first joining DigitalOcean. Like, how is a JavaScript blog and DigitalOcean gonna merge and create an ecosystem together? And one of the thoughts I had was like, look, what if I wanted to start a new side project?
Mm-hmm.
What is the fastest way to build it in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
Because Scotch was built in 2013. It was started on WordPress. And then I went over to a custom Laravel install, and I still love Laravel. A lot of coding involved though.
Mm-hmm.
So in today's Jamstacky world, right? How would you build an app that could get customers quickly?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of the solutions I saw kind of stopped short once you got to like, okay, well, you're going to need a database to store customer information or app information. I think that we're still early stages of figuring out how we can make a Jamstack sort of architecture where the database is traditionally like has dynamic data, and you pulled it into a static type of site. So I think this stream is kind of answering sort of that question and figuring out, look, where can we go forward?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like a misconception that I've seen is this idea that like if you make Jamstack apps, there is no server, and part of that is through, I think, confusing marketing. You know, we talk about we name things stuff like serverless, and that implies this idea that like servers are bad, but that's not actually the case. What we're saying, like in a Jamstack architecture, you've got your front end. And your front end probably shouldn't rely on a server to stay up, right? That's what the crux of the Jamstack argument is you should have a highly available static site that is just going to work no matter what. But as you said, when you're building real world sites, apps, products, you're going to find yourself in a position where you need to store data. You need to process user input. You need to handle something. And then you start getting into like, okay, maybe there's a software as a service solution I can use. You know, maybe I want to send this to, I want to send it to Airtable, or I want to use Google Forms or something like that. And you can use like Netlify functions or just a straight like fetch call on the client side to asynchronously send that data. But then you get into more custom things. All right, I'm going to build an app, and my app is going to store some kind of data. Get out of here, Slack. Never respect my do not disturb. And so I have like, I need to let somebody create data, and then I need to let other users interact with that data. And that's, maybe I can do that with a SaaS solution, but probably I'm going to need to build my own APIs. And then you do want to build a custom API. So that's where I think the Jamstack, when you start looking at like actual Jamstack architecture, it doesn't mean never build an API. Like the original acronym even said APIs. That means you can build one, right? And the best way to build an API is to use the languages that you're familiar with and then ship it in the most like friction-free way that you can manage. And like for me, I always really like a bunch of my stuff is hosted on DigitalOcean because it's pretty fast to set up. Like there's a CLI way to do it, there's an API way to do it, there's a UI way to do it, and so it gives us a lot of power to not have to build these like monolithic, here's a server and it does some data and then it runs templating languages and then it serves markup. It's like, no, my front end is a static site. My API is a straight up like an endpoint that performs an action. It's a REST API or a GraphQL API, and my front end calls to it. Like that's a really, really powerful stack, and that's what we're going to build today, right?
Yeah. And just more on that, right? Like I've always felt that Jamstack was, like static is kind of the goal there, but I always felt that static was just a way to say, look, our site's going to be incredibly fast, especially globally. And that's what I think a lot of people don't really factor in when they're building these things.
Yeah.
Is global audience. And and the rest of the Jamstack is like, look, let me focus on the API that is crucial to my business, and then all the other APIs, like, let's outsource them. Who cares?
Yeah. That is exactly right. So I think what would be great for us to do here is today I want to build an actual Jamstack app, and so I think the way that we want to do that is we want to show not just how we can like have an API we can read from, which is a fairly standard Jamstack practice. I build a site, I read from an API, I render to static. But I want to go the other way. How can we add user interaction so I can click a button and it changes something in my database? And so you had a pretty good idea for how to set up this API. So do you want to actually let's talk about what we're going to build. So a lot of people who watch the show are part of the Party Corgi Discord, and we will drop a link to that real quick. I need to update this command to use the new custom. We got an actual like custom Party Corgi URL for it now. But yeah, so go because of that, we're going to use pictures of corgis today. That's kind of a standard on here. But what we wanted is I want an app where we can show a list of corgis, and then people viewing the site can react to them. And so I want to do two types of reactions, and I want one of them to be a pet, and I want one of them to be a boop. So you can look at a picture of a corgi and you can choose to pet it or boop it, and we want to show that count in real time or not in real time. There we go. Lots of corgi. Oh, I always forget when we do corgi related stuff that this is going to happen. But so for that app, we need to have a front end that'll show our corgi photos plus buttons to pet or boop. And then on the back end, we're going to need a way to store that information. So do you want to walk us through how we want to do that?
Sure. So when I was thinking up like what are the quickest ways we can do this, because hour and a half we're building a full out API. We can do a Node backend and kind of build it straight out of Node and Express and whatever API tools that you want to use that you're used to. You can build it out in Laravel, Ruby, all that good stuff. What we're going to do today is a Node framework, which I've actually really been liking. It's called Strapi. And I think it's kind of been a fun one to look at, especially in the world of headless CMSs, because it's like, hey, let you customize your API as if you were coding it yourself, but also let me give you a little bit of the comforts of the modern headless CMS.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, so now that we know what we're doing, let's swap over and take a look at the screen here. So this is Scotch.io, by the way. You should definitely go check it out. And so the first thing that we'll do is we'll look at Strapi. So here's the Strapi website, and this is going to let us set up an API, and then we're going to deploy this to DigitalOcean. And so we'll set up there, and then also for y'all in the chat, we have a bonus today. If you want to try this, we have a deal going where you can get $100 in DigitalOcean credit. So we can, like, Netlify and DigitalOcean are kind of partnering up. We want to make some content together. So if you want to get started, you want to try this demo out, you can get $100 in credit to get you rolling. Just hit that URL. So with that being said, I'm going to sign in here, and I think I'm going to pull this off screen because I can't remember what it's going to ask me for. It might just let me in. Come on, just let me in. Nope, gotta log in. Did I get there? Cloud, DigitalOcean. Yeah, that's what I just did. Oh, I must be just in the wrong.
Let's see. Newcat had a question kind of up in the chat. The chat's going bonkers. I love it. Let's see. Compare to the speed of putting your custom functions and cold starts.
Ooh.
And Jason, you can probably talk to this a little bit better than I can for Netlify functions. I feel like cold starts have been getting better and better as we've gone along. I don't have metrics, but
Yeah, I mean, cold starts are a thing that so what a cold start is it is a like when you have a serverless function is kind of sitting on infrastructure somewhere. Like traditionally, I think serverless functions were a way to just occupy unused infrastructure. It was a way to kind of sell that unused space. And if you had your serverless function on a server that wasn't in active use, then it might need to boot before it could run your function, which meant that you could have a few seconds of just like dead time waiting for that server to boot. And that would be called a cold start. Like a cold server has to do a bunch of stuff before it can even process your request. What we're noticing is that problem is becoming less and less of an issue as serverless becomes more and more popular, because more and more of the servers are staying warm because they're being used more often. I also think that infrastructure companies are like dedicated. They're legitimately working on making this problem better, and so that is the kind of the it's all getting better, right? And so I don't know a lot of the technical stuff here. But it's definitely something that is like was a problem, can still be a problem, but is less likely to occur, and is continually improving all the time. So it's one of those things that's going to kind of work itself out over time. And in terms of whether or not it's something you should worry about today, while it still does present challenges, I would say consider what you're building and like what you are what you're serving, and like how critical it is that it gets there right now. Because with something like content or like an account page that loads asynchronously, sometimes it's okay to just show that skeleton loader for a couple seconds, right? And that's a thing that is worth considering. Like, is how life and death is it that the content gets there right now. But yeah, so by the way, thank you, Mr. Demon Wolf, for the raid. I really appreciate that. That is awesome. But yes, Suze, to answer, like, coming from Azure, honestly, I should probably just stop talking because I don't know the specifics. What I do know is like Netlify functions are largely run on top of AWS Lambda. So whatever you're gonna do with Netlify functions, what if you find information about the cold starts on AWS Lambda, that's going to give you information about how that will work. But yeah, so yes, but so like I use serverless functions on my sites, and like when I look at the logs, I'm not getting like long cold starts. I run like the sound effects for this blog or for this stream are run through serverless functions. So like if I run here, like let's see, blitzed, right? That it might maybe take like a couple 3 seconds to show up the first time if I'm like testing it before the stream. But oh wow, 30 to 60 second minimum. I have never seen that on Netlify functions. That's not to say it doesn't happen, but like I have never seen that. But yeah, so but yeah, let's jump in here and get rolling. So I've got my DigitalOcean workspace. Let me maximize this page so we can see everything. What do I want to do if we want to get rolling here?
Sure. So DigitalOcean lets us, if you go to create up in the top.
Create.
Yep. Let's go with a droplet, which is kind of our core product. It's just the server that you're going to create. And so we can start here with like different distributions and all that good stuff, which, to be honest, I haven't done any like straight up distributions in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I usually go straight to the marketplace. There's a little tab for that. And this is where it gets fun. There's like one-click apps that you can kind of
Yeah.
install in, I guess, one click. So if you
Is this
search for
just gonna
Strapi
work?
here, yeah,
What? Look at that. Okay, so I got Strapi on Ubuntu.
cool.
I'm gonna go standard. We don't need much, so I'm gonna go down to the smallest one that it supports here. Oh, thank you for the sub. I really appreciate that. So let's get this one going, and then do I need to do anything else? Let's see. I'm gonna go down. I'm on the West Coast, so let's choose the West Coast. I don't think I need. I don't need this because it's I don't know enough about exactly how this works. But what I understand is like if I wanted to build this API as like a private API that sat behind my other public facing stuff. So like if this was a privileged database API and then I needed a public API, I could make this one only accessible by like other droplets in my same network. And then that way it wouldn't be, people couldn't attack it from the public web. It'd have to be a little more sophisticated to get after it. This is where my backend knowledge starts to get a little shaky. I was never like a security expert.
Yeah, same for me. I like tried to get into VPC type stuff, and I mean, back then it was over my head, but nowadays we just released VPC actually, virtual private cloud. So
Nice. And so
yeah,
this is cool. It's automatically got my SSH key so that I can my public key. And so this we'll call Strapi. I'm gonna provision one. If we wanted to do multiples, if we were gonna do like load balancing or something, we could just like hit this button. But we're not gonna do that today. And then I'm gonna tag this with learn with Jason so that I can find it later. And then this is a really cool thing is you can just check this box and then we get updates in case I like completely bork it. I can just roll back to the previous one and not lose my data or my code or anything like that. So I'm going to create. Okay, so here's our droplet. Things are happening. We're doing it. Here we go. Come on. And this is also like, if we think about what's happening in the background, is this like a Kubernetes container or like what are we deploying here?
so we're deploying a just normal droplet.
Okay.
So it's just just our own dedicated server.
Nice. Okay, cool. You haven't actually missed too much, Govinda. There's a lot of discussion that I would say is worth jumping in because we talked a lot about like why we're going to do things the way we're doing. But so far, all we've actually done is set up this Strapi server. And so I'm going to click this Get Started button. Okay, here we go. And now, all right, click and enjoy. So that's it. We're ready. I click in.
Yeah. So hit that IP address, and then we should be able to. Yeah. So sometimes it'll take Strapi a second to do all the installs and stuff.
Okay.
So we'll just wait a second and hang out.
All right. And while we're waiting on that, I can create a project for us. Say front end. And we'll just set this up. I think what I'm going to do is we'll just use like 11D or something so that we can get a page up really. You know what? I don't even think we need that. We can just do like a straight HTML page, right? Because it's going to be a single page with the pictures on it. So we can. I don't know if we need anything really. We'll just like.
That's fun. You don't really hear that too much these days.
Yeah, I know, right? This is why I like the Jamstack, right? Is like it's like okay, so I'm building one page. Well, let's just build one page. Like I don't need a bunch of stuff. I can just write some HTML, which is really, really fun. And we'll get to use form data today. So the last time that I was doing something and I was like really overcomplicating it, trying to like parse out the DOM and everything. And then Suze was like, just use form data. And I was like, I didn't know that existed. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then let's see, let's pop this open in code. And in here, we're going to be able to just set up like a basic document thing. We'll call this Corgi Pets. If I can, there we go. Corgi Pets. And then we'll set up an H1. Okay. And then I'll be able to do something here like I'll just install it for dev purposes. We'll install serve. And in here, I can add a script that will be dev, and we'll just serve. All right, so then I can npm run dev. Oh, Dom, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Five subs.
Awesome.
So everybody who just got a sub, you know what you got to do, right? You got to bury us in boops. And it's a little more difficult to do now, so you have to coordinate. It needs to be a team effort. So here we go. We've got a really basic site to show our boops. And let's see if our Strapi. Where are you at, Strapi? What's going on? Do I need to do something with it?
No, let me see, 165.227.2029. I'm showing the admin page.
Oh no, did it cache? That's annoying. Okay, so it like cached in my browser. So here we go. Pro tip, if you access it too fast, you can
That's the one thing about this is like if somebody else somehow happens to randomly type in your IP address and gets to this, they can make the admin account.
Yeah, so that's a thing to definitely keep an eye on. Let me just
Which I almost did, but
I appreciate you not doing that. We've had such things happen before. Which now that I'm thinking about it, I hope the chat is not racing me. Don't you dare, chat. Oh boy. You hackers, you dirty hackers. Okay, we're in. I have an admin, and then right now I've just got users. There is no user. So I am the admin user. Oh, and you can manage administrators. Okay, so I'm now in here. I'm ready to go. So what should we do next?
So the first thing we need to do, and this is fun because it's like the first things that I would do if I built a Node API or a Laravel API, whatever. Start with my content types.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right there.
Okay, so we'll say the first thing is going to be corgis, right? So I'm going to do that. And I think all we wanted for this was just, we want two things. We want to have a link to the photo, because we're going to link to Unsplash to avoid just there. I think there would be hassles with like trying.
Do we want to name them?
Value not match the right. Do I not want to name them? Oh, let's see, photo URL, right? What is the what? Oh, I guess I can't use hyphens either. And then I want a title, and we'll say credit. So we'll make sure that we credit the person who did it. And then did you want to, and you wanted a name?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so now we've got the photo, credit, and title. So those are our setups here. Whoa, no, I'm gonna save this.
Yeah. There you go.
And then I can configure, which is really fun. Bring the title up top, and then we've got the photo and the credit. Okay, so let's save that. Oh, and then I'm gonna change that. Save it again. Okay, so now I've got corgis. And if I want to add a corgi, we can head over to Unsplash. And I can get just a picture of a corgi. That's a very good corgi. So we will copy a link, put it in here. we'll get the, can I copy paste this? So you're gonna let me, okay, we'll go through to here, copy the name, and we'll say a very good Corgo. All right, so now we have our name. And then for these, we're not gonna add the part where you can like add multiple photos. So we're just gonna pick, I think, like 4 here. So let's see. This is a very good. That's a good Corgo. We're gonna copy the image address here. We'll add a new one. Go here. That is so not helpful when it does that. Okay. Add in the credit, and we'll say glasses. All right. You know what? Maybe let's just do 2. That's plenty. So now we have corgis, and then the other thing that we're going to need to do is we need to track our reactions, right? So I want to, let's see if I go back out here to content types, right? I want to do a new collection type. Yes. And that, I'm kind of making this up, so correct me if I'm wrong here, Chris.
Yeah. Sorry, I was prepping over here for when we get to tokens.
So I want the reaction. Oh, I think I need to, yeah. A reaction has 1 corgi. That is correct. And then I guess it's going to just know that. Add another field, and we'll have a type, which needs to be an enum. And the values are going to be pet and boop. And then we need a count. Or actually, we don't need a count, do we? We'll just be able to pull each reaction out individually and count them. Okay, so we can keep that. So that will let us save a reaction type and the corgi that reaction type belongs to, and then we'll be able to pull those back. So I believe this is our whole API, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How do we get to it?
Sorry. Yeah, I think we're good.
Let's see. Dang, yeah. Sorry, chat is on fire. All right, so we have our API rolling, and now I want to access this. And the way that I'm going to do that is, I think I need to go to where? Settings?
So Strapi is cool because it automatically gives you the API for it. So
nice.
If you just go to IP/ and Pierre's got it in the chat /corgis.
Forbidden. Oh, okay, so I'm going to need to send in a API key or something.
So since we're just reading here, we can change the permissions.
Ooh, all right.
So if we go roles and permissions on the left.
Rows and permissions.
Roles and
permissions.
I gotta enunciate my L's. So if you hit public,
okay,
and you can create different roles and then apply those roles to different content types. But down there, if you hit the find and find one,
find one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and then reactions publicly, we can do count, and we would need to be able to filter that somehow. So with that, let's see, because we need to be able to count by type. So maybe we need to find as well. We can try that and see what happens. So let's save, and then I'm gonna go here to corgis. Okay, we get our corgis, and then we have. How does that work then for these? Like, does it show me my? How do I see the the
Do the
endpoints that I
what?
would use. Like if I was going to do like so we set roles and permissions for find and find one and stuff like that. How does it show like what is the find and find one or like the count? If I just go to like
Yeah,
reactions,
so
I
I think
guess.
you just append count to the end of it.
What? Oh, cool. And then is there a way to
The filter, I think you just do a URL param for.
like type equals boop or something?
I think so. Let me check.
Okay, let's check this. I'm gonna create two reactions. So I've got my let's add a new reaction. It's gonna be a pet, and it's gonna be this corgi. So let's save, and then let's add another new one, and it's gonna be a boop, and it's gonna be for this corgi. So let's save, and then I'm gonna come out here, and this should be 1 because we're filtering to type boop. Okay, and then if I remove the filter, it should be 2. Wow. Okay, that was easier than I expected, actually. All right, perfect. So
I didn't even think that was gonna work. Cool.
And then the other thing that I need is I need to find. Let's see, how's this gonna work? It's related to a corgi, but it's related by image, which is kind of confusing because it would be easier if it was related by ID or something, right? How? Can I tell it to
I wonder if you can change it down in the
configure entry title? Okay. That's probably not what I want, but maybe I want or maybe I
think it
need
might
to
be under
underwear now?
Never mind. I think I'm lost.
Under the where's my corgi? Corgi. Corgi. I don't know. Configure the view. Click on relation. Configure the view. Click on relation. Am I looking right at this?
We're trying to change it to creation, edit, entry view.
Well, I was mostly thinking like if I can get corgi equals 1. That's that is all.
Oh, do oh, I see what you're doing. Go back to the content types builder. So back in the admin board, left content types builder,
Okay.
a little lower. Yep. And then hit edit on the corgi. Or I guess
configure view.
Sorry, go to reaction on the left.
Reaction.
Under collection types, and then under relation with the corgi, edit that one.
Okay.
And then can you like identify the field name on the right there, or?
Yeah, it won't let me change anything, which is that's the kind of confusing thing. Is like I'm not sure what this means. Base settings. It's okay. I don't think this is the end of the world here. Oh, so that just defines what it is on the reaction. So like if I was going to put a field on corgi that was reaction, that would be like this one, like reaction. No, a corgi has many reactions, right? So that would make sense. And in fact, maybe that's what we want is like if we get corgis, then we have do we get reactions here? Or no, what am I doing? Oh, I need to save it. Duh. Okay, so now I get reactions, and we get our here's our reactions, and those come in. That's okay. That's good. That works. So I think we can work with that. Like let's get these on the screen. So
you can filter by corgi ID now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So let's see here. Let's go to and there is like query params, which is helpful. So let's take a look at these. Maybe maybe just in the URL. Find order by name. Oh, so you can sort ID in. Oh, so like ID in. And then I do like ID in 1, and it would just give us the 1. Okay, so that's good. The part that I'm not 100% sure of is whether that is like reactions, right? So reactions should give us, would it be like Corgi in? Corgi in 1.
I think you can just do
Corgi in 2. Oh, okay, that's how you would do it. So we'd be able to do a query like that for our individual reactions.
Yeah.
And that might be helpful for how we want to do the
creation.
Like, yeah, or like an update after we read. So let's do, let's go script. And then inside here, we can do, how do we want to do this? We'll set up an async function called load corgis. And inside of this, we're going to get data, which will be await, fetch, and then we're going to go to our, what was it? Corgis. I think we just want corgis. Yeah. So I'm going to fetch my corgis, and then we don't need any response there, so we can just .then, and we'll do res.json. And if there's an error, we'll console log it. So console error.error. Okay. And then to start, let's just log this out. Console log data. Okay. So we've got, that's not the one I wanted to look at. We've got this API over here. Here's our corgi pets. Let's get this out. And reload. Doesn't like
call it?
something. Oh, I never called it. Good call.
Yeah, I do it every time. Every time.
All right. Okay, so here's our corgis, and they are on the screen. So let's write some code for what these would look like, and then we'll put it in a template and loop it. So we're gonna have a div for containing the corgis. So that'll be like Corgi kennel. Never mind. Just don't mind me. Okay. All right. Then we've got a corgi, and then we'll have an image source, and that'll be the corgi image here. Okay. Then we'll have alt, and oh wait, no, we'll have the title, so I'll be able to put the title in here. In a more full featured app, we'd probably want a separate alt, and then we can say photo by, and then we'll have the credit. Okay, so let's see how that looks. All right, so that's getting us the data that we want, and then we would need to show our this will be like our div class reactions, and inside of our reactions we want to have a we need like two things. So it's going to be a count, and then we need a form for each thing. Although I guess we wouldn't even need a form really. We could just do a button and like post directly to the thing, yeah. Right? Okay, so let's do that. Let's do I
love this so much. It's like I've been doing React so long that I immediately went to say, hey, it's class name, not class.
I know. Yeah, it happens to me too. So all right, so we'll have span class count, and we'll say like 0, and then a button, and that button will say pet, and then we can do another one here. And this one will be for boops. Boop. All right, and let's make this look a little bit less terrible just so that we can actually see what's going on. So for each, our corgi kennel We can make it display grid, and we can do a grid template columns. How does this work? No. Repeat, auto fit. Oh God. 200 pixels. Does that work? Is that gonna work for me? I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up. And then we want our Corgi image to be like max width 100%. Okay, yeah, oh, that is working. All right, so let's duplicate our Corgi and make sure that that is doing what I want. Good. Man, grid is so cool. Then I can set a gap of, we'll say 1 rem. Good, okay. And then for the pets and boops, I want those to be side by side, or maybe we don't worry about that today. So let's make this just a little bit bigger so that we can see these a little bit better. Okay. So next we want to actually like display these. So we can take this code here and let's put it into a template. Will be Corgi, and then we drop this inside and we can make these empty now, because what we're going to do is set these dynamically. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a somebody asked about my mic, and I don't have a cool /uses page like Jason does, but Shure SM7B is what I'm rocking.
Nice. Okay, so then once we've got our data, we need to get our template. So we'll get the template equals document.get element by ID, and that would be our Corgi. And then we need our container, which is document.query selector, and we'll get Corgi kennel. And then we want data. What's it going to be? We've got just an array. So data dot for each. Yes. We'll get a Corgi, and then we're going to create a node, and that would be template.content.clone node true, so that we actually get the content. And then now we can get the image. So the image is going to be node.query selector image, and then let's just make sure this one works. Image.source is going to equal Corgi.photo, and image.alt is going to equal Corgi.title. And then we can say container.append child node. And if I am correct, what will happen is we are about to get 2 Corgis appended to the screen with just images for now. Yes, perfect. So then we can go further and we can get the caption. So let's add a class credit. So we can say, and for this one we don't need to do anything extra with it. So node.query selector credit, and then we'll say inner text equals photo by Corgi credit. Okay. Then we want to get the pet, and that would be node.query selector pet. And we're going to do the same thing for boop. And then in our pet, we can say pet.query selector, and we need to get the count. And we're going to set the inner text to be Corgi. Oh, we have to filter these, don't we? Because we have our reactions down here. Did we reload once this changed? Yeah, here's our reactions. So I need to filter by type. So we'll say, I guess we can just do it all in one place. So we'll do const pets equals node or Corgi dot reactions dot filter, and then we'll do like our type equals pet. I think that'll work. And so then we'll have a like inner text for the count would be pets dot length. I think. Let's test that and make sure that it does what I wanted. Good. And then for the boop count, we can do boops. And set boops length. Nope, boops length.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, so look at that. Now we've got our boop and our other one are actually applying. Chris, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that this was going to be like everybody watching me write an HTML template.
It's okay. I think it's fun. I think a lot of people are like, wow, what is this magic? Like,
aren't HTML templates the best?
Yeah.
It is. It like blows my mind. So I guess I actually don't need to like pet this Corgo and boop this Corgo. We don't. That's not going to change. So we can just have that. So now, I think we can just make this work. Like I think we can just start to do this. So the next thing that we want to do is write our API code. And so this is where I need your help again, because I need to now post. We need to write a function. So we have a function called add pet, and that will include, that's going to need to do like an ID. And then we also need one that will be add boop, and that'll get a Corgi ID. And we need to send these off. And honestly, these might both be, actually, this might be more like add reaction. And maybe these are abstractions, but okay. So if I want to do this, what do I need to do? Like, how do I post?
So this is kind of getting to a territory where I am still new with Strapi.
Okay.
But from what I understand, because like if you were doing this in Node or Laravel or something, you would have a JSON web token. You would pass that in as your headers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to your, and this is kind of me like spitballing from looking at the docs, and I'll paste this in the chat because this is where I'm at reading through the docs. So if you go back to your dashboard and you're the admin.
Right. So another thing that we might want to consider here is like in this particular case, maybe we just let public updates happen to the reaction counts, because otherwise we're going to find ourselves in a weird situation where we have to like create users and do authentication, and I just don't think we're gonna have time for that.
I mean, unless you want to create a registration and login form in the next 30, I'm cool with public.
I think maybe we go public this time. And so, but we should talk about.
We can see that number rack up.
Yeah, exactly. Because I want to deploy this, and I want the chat to have a chance to play, right? So I think this will be really fun. So let's go back into roles and permissions. Let's go into public, and we are going to let public accounts create new reactions. And now we have a post to reactions. Awesome. All right, I'm going to save that.
You hackers, you dirty hackers.
That's right. That's right. Now you get to be hackers. So if I want to do this, what I should be able to do is post to reactions. So I think we can test this just in curl. So curl post, and then the data would be like, I guess I can set a header of content type application JSON. I think I need to quote that. Can't remember. Let's do it just in case. And then for our data, we're going to send a type pet and a Corgi of 2. And I think that should just work. So let's try it. I think it did it. So let's go and look. Reactions. We got a third one. And now if we go out to our site and we reload, we have a count. Okay. That's
Okay.
like, I'm into it. This is working. This is doing what I want. So to make all of this work, what we can do then is we can, like, this is our post. So we can do response equals await. We're gonna have to async this one. And we want to await fetch. And then we want to do, I think it's method, it's post. We'll set headers of content type application JSON. And then a body of type. Oh, I probably need to stringify this, don't I? Probably. Let's see what happens if I don't. So the type would be whatever the type is. And the Corgi would be our ID, right? And I think that'll just work.
Yep.
And then we'll get a response, res JSON, okay. And if something goes wrong, we'll dump it. Console.error and error. Okay. And then just to make sure, once we get done, we will console log that response. And let's skip these for now. So what we can do instead is for each Corgi then, we are going to say we want to include a callback or a pet callback, or let's see, pet handler. And that would be just a function that we'll call add reaction. And it would be, did I destructure this? No. So it's going to be an ID and a type. So our first thing would be corgi.id, and the type will be pet. Boops will be the same thing, except we'll do it like this. And then I think what we can do from here is we can say pet.querySelector button, add event listener, click, and then we'll just pet handler. And if I do the same thing for boops, is that going to just work? Let's find out. No. Unexpected token. Okay, so we do need to JSON stringify this. So I'm going to JSON stringify this object. Oops. That looks correct. Show me potato salad. Look at it go. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so like that's it. We built a whole app.
Yeah.
So let's add a little bit extra here where once we click it, we can also update that that count. So what we can do is in our handler, we can do something like this. I could probably make this easier, but so we'll run our boop handler, and then we will also do boop dot query selector count. Let's see, current count, and then we'll be able to do inner text, and then I think we can do the inner text equals current count plus 1. Let's try it and see. Nope. Got to turn it into a number. So we will just numberify this. Here we go. Dope.
Sweet.
All right, so let's add the same thing to our pet handler. So I'll just copy this out and put it here, change it to pet everywhere that is relevant. Okay. Okay, let's deploy. So this, I think, is just gonna work. So let's move in. I'll do it from here. All right. Where did I was running this from somewhere. Here. All right. So now I have, or create a new repo here. So I'm going to use the Git hub tools, which are, I'll just link to them real quick because they're amazing, hub.github.com. That then will allow me to do this. I'm going to git create. I'm going to do a check here. We're going to echo node modules into git ignore so that it doesn't want to include those. Let's add everything else. Great. Then I'm going to git commit. Then we can git push set upstream origin master. Great. And then if I git browse, this is now live. So here's our website. Super cool. Oh yeah, the GitHub CLI, I keep meaning to look at it because I think it's like all the things that Hub does, but with extra. But I haven't had a chance to actually look into it yet. So the next thing we can do then is let's just run netlify init. And that's going to, I'm going to create and configure a new site. I'll put it under my own. And we're going to call this, what was it? Corgi pets. We'll just call it Corgi pets. Okay, we don't have a command, so I'm just going to let it do no build command. And we want to deploy the current directory, so just a dot. Let that run. And then we can netlify open site. And that opened the wrong browser window. Oops, is it not open? Not done building yet? Published. What is going on? What happened? Did I not commit my code? Here's my index.html. That's got all my stuff in it. Let me just do another git commit.
The moment I found out you could make a Git repo from the command line with that hub and CLI, it was like life changing.
Yeah, I'm very confused as to why this isn't showing the actual code. Because we committed it. It doesn't, does my repo not have the code in it? here's all the code. Oh, is it because it's a shoot? I think it's because our app is not HTTPS. We're getting mixed content errors. Is there a
Oh.
way in Strapi to make this HTTPS? Do we have to do anything to enable that on the marketplace?
To do that, I think we would have to do it from from this dashboard. So if you can, so I think
I'm gonna try something real quick just to make sure that it didn't do it for us and we're just not checking. Where is my here? If I just make this HTTPS, does it just work? No. Okay, so we need to add that. Okay, so where do I go here?
just double checking something. Let's see. So I think to do that though, we would have to add a domain to it.
That's okay. I have a domain we can use.
Okay. Let's hit that add domain.
Let me set up the domain for it.
Sure.
What I'm gonna do, add a domain, and we'll use corgipets.lwj.dev. Okay, and then out here, we need to go into lwj.dev. We'll go into the DNS, and we can set up some custom stuff for it. So that was over here somewhere. So I need to copy this, and we'll set up Corgi pets to go here. Okay. It's going to be a race against time. Can we really deploy this in the next 20 minutes? So now that we've got that, then theoretically speaking, we can go into our Strapi. Oh, that one's going to work now. Can't do HTTPS just yet. But if I try to go to corgipets.lwj.dev, IP address could not be found. Did I miss a thing? Just HTTP? Doesn't like that. What? How long is this going to take? This is where now it's kind of like, okay, how long is it going to take for this to register? Which that's a question I don't know the answer to. Don't you do it. Okay, so we might not be able to fully do this today, but maybe let's just check if I make this not secure, it auto redirects. So I can maybe turn that. I don't know if I can even turn that off. I think that's like hey, you're on Netlify. You're gonna get SSL. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna let me do anything. HTTPS custom domain is required, but I don't want SSL. Might not be in the cards then if we can't do SSL.
Yeah, I think we'd have to do like a little bit of a let's encrypt on the server, which I'm trying to avoid.
That was what I was thinking. Like, let's encrypt is not it's not that bad. I'd love to see the Strapi droplet just add that, because that's like the WordPress droplet just has it. It like the steps you follow are like, go here, enter your domain name. It's going to run the cert bot. Now you've got a WordPress site.
Right.
So it's that would be a really cool like kind of version 2 or 1.1 for this.
Yeah.
Because it looks like this is not going to give me my domain name here in the next few minutes. So I think like we've got a couple things going here that are really cool. We were able to set up this API really fast. I think the bit that we're missing is that we as you can see, we're on an IP address rather than a domain name, and so that means that we're not able to do the security of setting up SSL, which means that we can't. Oh, you know what we might be able to do? Okay, I have an idea. Let's try it. I'm going to set up a netlify function to relay, because I think it might let us make an insecure call, and that would be served as SSL. So let's try it. And we need two. We need load corgis, and we also need add reaction. So let's just try the load corgis and see if we can get it to work. That's going to be in here. So we'll just take that part straight out, and then inside of this, I need to add a package.json, because we're going to have, let's see, we're going to go in here. I'm going to run npm install node fetch. Word? Oh, let's remove this package, and we'll just run npm init y, and then we'll run it again. npm install node fetch. Okay, good. And then I'm going to, inside of my load corgis, we're going to exports.handler, and that will be an async function that's going to get an event. And this one doesn't even need its event because we're just relaying data, so we'll get a response that will be this, and then we're going to return a status code of 200, and the body will be JSON stringify response. Okay, let's just try this. So I'm going to run, I need to add a netlify toml to tell it where the functions are. So let's add netlify.toml, and we'll do build functions equals functions. Okay, now I'm going to run netlify dev. And I think it's just going to work. No, we need to set the serving dir. So we'll do dir here. What's going on? Simple static server. Oh, I'm in the functions.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get here. This is going to work. Here we go. Netlify dev. There's our corgis. Okay, so let's swap this out to use our function. Our function will go in index.html, and we're going to call netlify functions load corgis. I think that'll just be a drop-in replacement, so let's try. Didn't work. What didn't work? Oh, God. Unexpected JSON. Something didn't work. It doesn't like. Oh, I forgot to include in here node fetch. Get out. I want to be in here. Const fetch equals require node fetch. Okay, let's try that one more time. Still doesn't like it. Let's see what it doesn't like. Lambda handler is not a function? Did I typo something? Yes, I did. Exports.handler singular. Okay, so there's our corgis. Now let's do the same thing in here for our reaction, but instead of this one, we'll use index.html, and it goes up here. So we're going to send exactly this data. Okay. and our response is going to be here, but this one is going to get an event, and our event is going to pull out the ID and the type from JSON parse event.body. Okay, so that should all work exactly the same, and then we'll just return the response, and in our index we are going to instead call netlify functions add reaction. All of this stays the same, and I think I need to stop and restart because I just added a new function. Okay. There we go. Works. And we can see that the requests are going to add reaction. So that's all working. So now, I think.
But deploy.
Yeah, let's try. Let's add all. Git commit. Use netlify functions. Git push. And let's go to the deploys to look at it. Yes, all of that was run locally, and that so that was like the netlify dev basically. Brad, you just reminded me of netlify function create. I always forget to use those. Error building. Oh, I know what I did wrong. So what we aren't doing now, because we have a we have to go in and install. So I'm going to set a command, and that command is going to change directories into functions and npm install. And then I don't think we need to do this, but just in case, we're going to move back. So let's git commit all of that, install functions steps. Oh, we're right down to the wire. We got 10 minutes. We can do it. It's gonna work. Let's get this going. Back to.
No, this will work. This will work.
Yes. I believe.
Show me potato salad.
That's what we're after. I'm crossing my fingers, my toes. It's all happening. Post-processing site is live. Oh yeah, come on. We have done it. Okay, everyone, please go and vote.
Did that just work?
On your favorite corgi. Just pet, boop, anything you want to do. We didn't add any kind of real-time update, so you are going to have to refresh the page. Uh-oh. Are these not sticking? Oh no, they're not sticking. Well, let's go check the functions logs. We've got our functions, add reaction. Well, that's just executing. That should be working. Let's look at our reactions. We've got how many? There is no reaction. Yeah, we've got
a ton.
Hundreds of reactions in here. So maybe it's caching? Or maybe I know what it is. Check this out. We are not adding the count parameter, so it's limiting to our first 10. So if we look at these, it's only showing us, where is it? 9.
No, this will work. This will work.
Yes.
14. I don't know why it's only showing a few, but they all are. Oh, whoops. Let's see this one. Huh. Okay, so we did something weird in our logic here, where our Corgi loading function is not pulling in all of our Corgis.
I wonder if Strapi has a default?
It does, and so we'll have to go figure out how to fix that. But I mean, so I'm going to take this as a win, because we like at this point we're in the fine tuning stages where we have to go figure out like what I believe is happening is that Strapi. Yeah, Brad, we're persisting this in Strapi. So if we look in here, we've got our corgis saved here, and then we've got our reactions saved here. And so what is going wrong for us right now is that our corgis, for whatever reason, are only bringing back some of our reactions. And it looks like it's bringing back like the latest ones, but we've got here are our reactions, and it's bringing back a limited number of reactions for whatever reason. So what we need to figure out, like our next step for this, is going to be to go into the Strapi docs and find out what the what we need to add to remove the limit from the what gets returned in these connections, and that part is I just don't know how to do. So we'll go into the docs and dig into it and figure out what's going on. But as far as I know, there is a advanced settings unique field. Yeah, there's no limit set here. I don't see any of the Strapi team in here to talk about that. But basically, what we're getting is that the votes are sticking. So we can see here in our votes, we have 650-ish votes, but we have a limit in how many get returned. So we just need to go and do that.
So I'm showing, I think I just found it in the docs. So it looks like the limit default is 100, which doesn't really add up to our numbers that we're getting. But to do a limit of infinity, you throw in -1. But I don't know how that works for relationships.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, that also.
Underscore limit.
Underscore limit, -1. Okay.
But I don't know how you also put that on. Yeah.
Filters contain a. No. Yeah, so this is just something that we have to get into the docs and figure out in a relationship. But something. So I think this is something where if we did this another way, if we pulled in the reactions straight up, we've got tons and tons of reactions here. And if I set the limit to be -1, we'll see that we've got way more than that, tons and tons of reactions. So they are persisting, but we don't have for whatever reason. Oh, wait, look at this. They're not getting attached to a corgi. Oh,
there you go.
Oh, okay. So we broke our code somehow. And that means that we did what? Add reaction should get our ID. That ID gets set in here. Our ID. I don't get it though, because that should be working. The ID gets set. Here's our corgi.id. Did we lose some data somehow? Let's run this locally again. Well, the corgi has an ID. In the reactions, it's not considered an ID. It would be the corgi, but we're setting the corgi to be the ID. So I need to get to localhost *888, and then we can take a look at. Let's take a look at what comes out here. So I'm just gonna, I think, console log the corgi. Right. So we've got an ID. The ID is here. So then let's log in the add reaction. We log the ID. Okay, so it's now we're missing the relationship somehow. So let's maybe change this. Oh, damn it. You're right, Tony. I didn't understand what you were saying. So yeah, our function isn't getting the Corgi out. I understand. I misunderstood what was going on. That fix should fix the whole thing. So let's git commit all fix. Use the Corgi, not the ID. That commit message is going to be really understandable to everybody who's not in this room right now. And with that, all right, I believe 3 minutes, y'all. We can do this. Okay. So Chris, as we're waiting for this to build, where should people go for next steps?
No, this will work. This will work.
Yes.
So one thing I like to point out about Strapi, which is really cool, is that you can get a GraphQL API out of it in pretty quickly. And I think that could be interesting for some people out here.
It works now.
Nice.
Okay. Team. Ooh, this is clearly this Corgi needs lots of pets. Somebody is spamming the hell out of that button. I very much appreciate it. Although this Corgi is not getting the attention he deserves. There you go. This is good. This is great. Okay. So I'm like thrilled that we got this working. That makes me super happy. So yeah, so we've got the setup here. Definitely go give this a shot. Like, this is super fun. Get into that DigitalOcean marketplace, try things out, and take that $100 credit to let you roll and try some things without having to spend any money. Chris, where was there a link that you wanted me to pull up for next steps here?
I mean, that's a good link right there. And once you get in there, the marketplace is a good place to look. I know we built with Strapi as our backend. There are some other cool things in the marketplace, like the WordPress one-click, which you can do a headless CMS with WordPress. And then there's also Ghost is in there that also provides a headless CMS. So like those three, Ghost, Strapi, and WordPress, I feel like would be solid options if you wanted to build a Jamstack site, but also like do the backend.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, and it's like, these are all one click, right? Like you click this button, it's going to take you over. You choose your droplet size, and so when I get down here, you can just scroll over, pick the smallest one that you need. Like for a hobby project, this is going to be plenty, and that's going to let you rock and roll. Chris, where should people go if they want to follow you?
Sure. So you can find me. Scotch.io is where I primarily write and create content. And at Twitter, Chris on Code. So yeah, that's my two spots.
On Code, okay. Cecile is asking, how would we make those numbers update without having to reload? Yeah, so what I would do, there are a couple things that we could do. We could have it poll. So effectively, we might even be able to write this in like 10 seconds. We could go here and we could just say like set timeout, and we're gonna load Corgis every 3 seconds, right? And so what that'll do is it's gonna, I think, break because it'll replace those. So we need to like empty the container first. But if I run this,
it should be a fun thing to see.
What we'll get is we'll see in our Corgis here every 3 seconds, it's going to load the latest, and right now it duplicates. But so what we would, the difference would be that you would go to the container and just empty it out, like remove all the components, and then you would. I mean, anytime you're running something on a loop, you're going to have memory implications. But this is not really like. It depends on what your app is for, right? Like the most performant way to do this would be to query the reactions directly and update just that number. This is completely updating the. I think it might have broken. Oh, I did a set timeout, not a set interval, is why that only did it once. So you would, instead of a timeout, you set an interval. And so this, is going to, so we'll get one, and then every 3 seconds it'll drop in another one, and then 3 more seconds, and then it's going to drop in another one. And each of these is going to include, you can see the counts are updated every time. So this is basically how you would do that. And then we would just need to tell it to like update and remove. If you were going to write this in production, I would highly recommend that you only query the data that you need to update and only update that part of the DOM. The least amount of work you can do is going to be the best for performance and memory implications.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a fun way that you can build a legit functional Jamstack app. This is interactive. We can do whatever we want with it. And those numbers stick around like as we do it. So we're persisting data, we're interacting with an API. We inadvertently figured out a way around like SSL problems using Netlify functions. So all of that is stuff that you can do right now, today. Go try this out. Go, like I said, go hit this DigitalOcean page, get your credit, try this out. It's super fun. It's not as daunting as it may have been years ago. So if you're a front end dev with an idea and you need to persist some data, like this is a really, really nice way to get started. And with that, I think this is a good stopping point. How you feel, Chris?
That's a lot of work I got to just sit here and hang out. You did all the work, but
I appreciate it. I appreciate the company. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much of that stream was going to be me writing HTML. But this was super fun. And like the Strapi team is very, very helpful. So definitely reach out to them if you've got questions. We didn't dig into their docs very much, but like their docs are good. They've got good examples. So go check those out as well. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. It opens up a lot of possibilities, and I really hope that I see some really fun projects from y'all. Please do go play and build things and share those things that you built, because I'd love to see them. I think outside of that, tomorrow I am going to do another stream that I don't think is on the list. It's not. So tomorrow I'm going to do a stream at a time, and that time is oh God, where is it? You know what? I'll tweet about it. But I'm going to do a stream where I'm going to build some like Netlify build plugin cron jobby stuff, so you can like schedule posts and have them go live at a time of your choosing. And then on Friday, Thor from Stripe is coming back, and we're going to add Apple Pay and Google Pay to the Learn with Jason store. Which, if you haven't seen the Learn with Jason store, you can buy Corgi related stickers for your laptop. So we're going to add Google Pay support for that tomorrow. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's been a great week already. Chris, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out. It's been an absolute blast. Chat, stay tuned. We're going to raid. Chris, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you next time.